for the pledge. Thank you. Ms. Hannah, will you please call roll?
Anna Payne,
Here.
Dawn Corporal,
Here.
Mike Kizak,
Here.
Dana Kane,
Here.
Stephanie Teely-Cools, Isaac Kessler,
Here.
Jim Ennis, Esposito, I'm so sorry, and Nick Balla. Thank you.
Okay, at this time I'm going to announce that the next Board of Supervisors meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 6th, 2023 at 7 p.m. And with that, any public comment on non-agenda items? Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tyler Prime. I represent Chick-fil-A, their application at 1501 East Lincoln Highway. The reason I was coming to the meeting tonight was just that we were hoping to have an audience scheduled with the board at some point. We have an open application for land development for a new store. There's one item specifically related to some of the traffic improvements that were originally approved, or I should say put in our approval as something that would essentially be worked out, and when the numbers came out, they were kind of out of line with what we were expecting. We were hoping to revisit that publicly with the board, have a discussion amongst our professionals in public if that's possible. We had sent a letter to the board and to the manager's office, but we hadn't gotten a response, so we were hoping to schedule in person.
It is under my understanding that Township Manager Stephanie Teely-Cools did send an email this morning.
This morning? Okay.
Yes.
I think the letter was from December 2nd, so I hadn't seen anything as of the time I came to the meeting.
Yeah, I think that it didn't go to you because I had two separate people requesting what I confirmed in the email this morning, and I guess it must be the owner. It must be the owner.
Yes, it was somebody from Waterstone.
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
making the same request, and the email indicated the board's support of the conditions that were included in the original approval, and an encouragement to resubmit if you'd like to, if you are interested in pursuing the application in a different way than it was approved, full encouragement to do that.
Sure. So I don't think it would be a new application, actually. It's still open. A condition of the approval was signing of a development agreement. One of the conditions of that development agreement was the applicant shall provide funds in an amount reasonably determined to be placed in an escrow account, blah, 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 for Lincoln Highway deceleration lane improvements. I think it just came so far beyond what was expected. I mean, we'd offered, I think it was $100,000 for a traffic light. The improvements for the roadway, I think, came in at $1.4 million.
The deceleration lane is something that our consultant team feels is critically important for that project. It's a condition of the approval. It's unfortunate that at the time of the application, when you agreed to those conditions for the approval, that you didn't realize the full breadth of the cost of that, but I don't think that the Board of Supervisors is able to go back and make a change to conditions that was a public meeting. There was lots of citizen input. There was lots of discussion of what the conditions would be. And I think that's why the decision is that this isn't the venue to revisit conditions that were part of a very lengthy land development process. And that you are, welcome to resubmit if you'd like, but that those traffic safety improvements are critical to that project.
Sure, understood. So just a couple points. The amount wasn't available to us at the time of the approval. It was something that was to be determined by the township's traffic engineer later. So we didn't know that. It wasn't like something we could have investigated. We had our own estimate, which we provided. In addition to that, we would be willing to renotice. The public notice isn't an issue. I'm not asking to talk about it tonight. We were simply asking for a venue to have that discussion in public. I don't think it's a new application. I don't see how that would be appropriate. It's part of an existing application. It's pending on a approval item that isn't finalized.
Now, there's a condition that, again, as Mr. Equals stated, the consultants believe is critically necessary, and the board is not willing to reconsider that condition.
Okay.
Can I just jump in, because you're dealing directly with the manager, and I just want to speak for the board.
Sure, yeah.
The issue, right, is this was the approval was contingent on this condition. So for us to now go back and revisit it simply because of the dollar figure is just something that we're not inclined to do. So we encourage you to reapply if that's your prerogative, but we can't just have a brand new public discussion and revisit the issue. I mean, it's been decided. So at this point, we're just not willing to reconsider that condition.
Okay, so what would be the point of a new application if you're not willing to reconsider the condition, if it's critically important to the township? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, it's more of
we'd
if
be
you were going to
wasting
change the project in a completely different way, that it didn't look like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to give you any false sense that we would change our
Yeah.
minds. So there may be no point unless there are going to be changes on your end that would make us view the condition differently. But I would probably suggest to you that if you just resubmit to do it all over again, we're not just going to change our mind on that condition. I mean, that was absolutely, based on what we heard from our consultants, that was a condition for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent agenda items. I will accept a motion for approval of the consent agenda items as stated. Is there a second? I'm not going to.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So next is consideration for approving Resolution 23-04, establishing a fee schedule.
Thank you very much. You have in your packets this evening a revised fee schedule. This is something we do annually, sometimes every 2 years. There are some changes that are outlined in your packet memo. Most significantly, as we are dealing with large warehouse type non-residential construction, we need to address sort of the changing dynamic of our fee structure to make sure that we are in line with other municipalities and comparable communities. We also made a couple of changes to clarify things that seemed confusing, and there were a couple of additional categories added in fire protection. So you have the redlined version, and I would just ask for your approval of this fee resolution.
I will accept a motion to approve Resolution 23-04.
I'll move to approve resolution number 22-04, establishing fee schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Are there any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consideration for advertising the 2023 road program. Mr. Kessler, will you please provide an overview?
Thank you. For this year's road program, as we typically do, the township looks at roads that need resurfacing throughout the township. So we have the list of the roads included with this year's contract we're looking to publicly bid. It includes the stretch of South Flowers Mill Road from East Maple Ave to Lincoln Highway. It also includes some drainage improvements along a portion of that road there. The stretch of Frosty Hollow Road from Upper Orchard Drive to Bristol Oxford Valley Road. There's two smaller streets as well included on the roadway list this year. Penn Hill Drive, which is a cul-de-sac off of Neshaminy Street, and a small L-shaped roadway, Rising Sun Avenue, off of West Lincoln Highway. As we typically do, we include two alternates, or a couple of alternates to hopefully include with the contract if the pricing comes in favorably. So those two alternates with this year's program are the parking lot at the North Fire Station, and also the walking path along Frosty Hollow Road between Juniper Drive and Bristol-Oxford Valley Road. It's in need of repair, so that it would be to have an alternate to reconstruct that walking path to make it a full 5-foot width and also repave and a smooth surface. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. The goal is to have it come in under the planned budget for the 2023 calendar year, hopefully to include these alternates and have a nice full contract for the road program.
One of the questions, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the questions that I usually get from residents is the process for determining which roads get redone. So if you could just walk through high level how we determine which roads get added to the list during which year.
That's a great question, and it includes a couple factors. There's the knowledge of all the roadways that we work closely with the Department of Public Works. Just they're on the roads every day. They see a lot of the wear and tear. So there's a kind of a planned outlook by a few years of which roads are coming up next. The road program does work in conjunction with the ramps that we reconstruct. So sometimes we'll look to do the ramps a year or two or so ahead of when the road would be resurfaced, so they don't have to cut into it again right after they pave it. And then there's instances where a bad winter will just really deteriorate a road and we'll have to kind of fast track it to get repaved. But typically it's more that outlook that we work with staff to identify which ones are up next.
And if I could just add, 10 years ago, we established a long-term 14 to 15-year road improvement program with the hope and anticipation that we would get to all of the roads in the community, and we're getting there.
We are.
Are there any other board questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion for advertisement of the 2023 road program.
I make a motion to authorize the advertisement to solicit bids for the township's 2023 road program.
Is there a second?
A second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So next is consideration of advertising ordinance 2301 to prohibit stopping, standing, and parking on Briggs Road between Langhorne Yardley Road and Paxton Lane during certain days and hours unless otherwise permitted. Mr. Valla, will you please give us an overview?
Sure. Good evening. So in conversation with the police department, we identified an issue on Briggs Road, which for those who are familiar in the Maple Point and Highland Gate neighborhoods across from Maple Point Middle School, there was a persistent problem which has kind of ebbed and flowed over the years of parents trying to avoid the pickup loop at the middle school and parking along Briggs Road and having their kids exit the middle school, crossing Langhorne Yardley Road to their parents waiting on Briggs Road. And it was the police department's recommendation, as well as the Citizens Traffic Commission, which is why it's coming to the Board of Supervisors, that a no stopping, standing, parking zone be established between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m. on weekdays, Monday through Friday, and allowing residents of this immediate area up to 3 parking passes, similar to a program that we have near Neshaminy High School in the Idlewood neighborhood. That way this avoids parents making their kids walk across the street, which we really see as a big safety issue, not only because Langhorne Yardley Road is a major busy road, but it's also going to be under construction within the next 18 months. And also with the elementary school planned down the road, we thought this was even more of a prime opportunity, especially because we're now going to be adding smaller kids potentially to the mix. And so we wanted to get ahead of this already existing issue. And the 2 to 4 p.m. window that we're proposing would cover the existing middle school as well as the planned elementary school dismissal times, both ranges.
No, thank you. Is there a motion to advertise ordinance 23-01?
I just had a quick question. Is this, so in the morning, we're not seeing a problem with parents dropping off and having their kids walk across? Is that correct?
Correct. There was no issue indicated in the morning. It's usually parents waiting for their kids to come across. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Did the residents who live in the immediate area, were they given an opportunity to participate in the Citizens Traffic Commission process and convey whether or not they were supportive of the plan?
Sure. There weren't any residents of this immediate area present at the meeting. The issue came kind of by way of the police department and the middle school collaboratively. If the board would like, we can certainly notify the residents. And again, just for the public's benefit, because this would be an ordinance amendment, what we're asking for tonight is authorizing advertisement of the ordinance. So it would come back before the Board of Supervisors at a future meeting. And, you know, once the solicitor determines when that date might be, we can certainly send a notice out to these residents if you'd like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to suggest. Just specific advertisement to the affected residents. That'd be great.
Are there any other board questions? So I will now accept a motion to authorization to advertise ordinance 23-01.
I move to authorize drafting and advertisement of an ordinance to make Briggs Road between Langhorne Yardley Road and Paxton Lane a no stopping, standing, or parking zone between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, unless otherwise permitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. Are there any other questions from the board? Are there any other questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Motion carries 5-0. Next is consideration of approving volunteer firefighter and EMS incentive. Mr. Valla, you're up.
Good
Will
evening,
you
thank
please
you.
provide an item?
So this would be year 5 of the volunteer firefighter incentive. And for those who may not be familiar, this program was started in 2019 for year 2018. And this is a program where we offer or provide $250 to each active volunteer firefighter or EMS personnel in the township. And there's approximately, this year there's 115, and this is a way to incentivize and encourage their continued volunteerism in the township. In addition to this cash incentive, we also provide a $100 credit towards Park and Rec programming. And again, for the year 2022, there is a total of 115 volunteers between the 4 volunteer fire companies as well as the rescue squad that were provided by rostered by each of those agencies. And this would total an expense of $28,750, which is budgeted for in the Fire Protection Fund.
Thank you. Are there any board questions? I will accept a motion to approve the 2023 volunteer and firefighter EMS incentive.
I move to authorize the 2022 Volunteer Firefighter and Emergency Response Incentive Program.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is consideration of authorizing professional service agreement with Conrad Siegel. Ms. Tioli-Coles?
Thank you very much. You have in your packets this evening a proposal for actuarial services from Conrad Siegel. Staff is recommending that the board authorize this contract. Conrad Siegel is a highly qualified public sector actuarial firm. They represent municipalities across the state. They have more than 59 years in business, and there are 23 actuaries on staff there. So this is in line with what we are paying right now. This proposal is. Great references. I've worked with them in the past. Ashley Wise is the actuary that we will be working with. I have met with her. She actually is the actuary next door in Northampton, another number of other municipalities, and you know, I think we'll be in very good hands.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to authorize a professional service agreement with Conrad Siegel.
I move to authorize a professional services agreement with Conrad Siegel.
Second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is consideration of authorizing purchase of recycling bids and educational materials for residential container distribution program.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Patrick Graham. I'm the program coordinator for the Parks and Recreation Department. I am co-presenting this with Christina Bernhardt, who's the special projects coordinator for the township. We're here tonight to ask for authorization to purchase recycling containers and education materials for the residential recycling container distribution program. The township was awarded a grant from the 902 Municipal Recycling Grant Program through the PADEP in the amount of $147,459. It's a 90-10 split, so the township's required match is $14,746. The grants will be used to fund purchasing recycling bins, as well as educational materials for residents, with the goal of increasing the recycling done in our community while also educating the residents on best recycling practices. We received this grant previously in 2016 for a similar project that was well received by the residents. We get calls all the time for recycling bins, so we're looking to replicate that with this project. So the containers we're proposing to purchase are 32-gallon recycling containers, as you see over here. The picture on the left is comparing the green container, which is 32 gallons, to a 48-gallon and a 64-gallon recycling bin. So the containers have lids to prevent recyclables from being contaminated or be out in the elements, and the wheels will make it easier for the residents to be able to take them out to the curb each week for collection. We'd be purchasing 2,500 containers, which we were recommending to be purchased from Toter LLC, which is a CoStar's vendor. I'm gonna now pass it off to Christina, who's gonna provide more information about the educational component of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. As Patrick mentioned, education is a large part of this project. The first educational component is the postcard shown on the screen. All residents
Can you
will...
stand a little closer to the mic?
Yes.
Sorry,
That's okay.
some of us can't hear back here.
The first educational component is the postcard that's shown on the screen there. All residents will receive this postcard, and it details how they are able to pre-register to receive a bin at the Earth Day event. There are a limited number of bins, so this will ensure that residents can sign up if they would like a bin, and it also will help us to verify their residency in the township. So that's the first educational component, and then the second is a bundle of items that will be handed out with the recycling bins at the Earth Day event. And the goal of the educational material is to provide residents with helpful information about best recycling practices so that we can increase recycling in the township.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any board questions?
Anticipating that this might be a popular program, is there any possibility of applying for further grant funding to get more of these in the future?
Yeah, this project comes around, the grant program comes around every year, so it is something we can always apply for again in the future.
If I could just add one thing too, the larger toters are something that residents ask for all the time. And it will significantly improve recycling volumes and make it easier for folks to recycle. So I really want to commend Patrick and Christina for the idea, and the educational piece is an important component. The 902 grant is an educational grant and implementation grant, so this does both.
So just to be clear, every resident gets a postcard, and then the residents that pre-register would have to pick it up on Earth Day at Core Creek. And is it first come, first serve at that point, or like, do you let people know if you went over the limit? Do you typically have have more demand than we have available, or how does that typically work?
So on the rec desk, there will be 2,500 slots for residents to register, and then they can then pick up their container at Earth Day. And then if they aren't able to get that, we're gonna, we can make other times available for them to come, maybe here to pick up their bin. And then I don't know if you want to talk about how the extra funding that we have.
Well, yeah, so we're planning on ordering 2,500 if possible within the amount of money that's available with the grant. We have extra funds to purchase more. If we hit that 2,500 quickly, then we'll do so. The authorization we're asking for won't exceed, like anything we're spending won't exceed what the grant is funded for. But to start with, we're going with 2,500, which is pretty close to what the total we have available to spend is. And then if there is a possibility to purchase more, we will. And then, like Mike had asked, if it's really popular and we run out of them quickly, then we'll apply for the program again in the future.
It's also something we could consider direct funding if it's very popular.
And I also wanted to mention to your question, Supervisor Corporal, the residents who are currently served by the township's waste management contract are going to be the ones receiving this mailer, just because residents who have an HOA community who contracts their own trash service, they have different arrangements that may not apply.
This time I'll accept a motion for this. Sorry.
I move to authorize the purchase of 32-gallon recyclable containers from Toter LLC at Statesville, North Carolina, in the amount not to exceed $124,579. I guess I'll say the second one also. I move to authorize the purchase of recycling educational materials from Custom Magnets, PDQ Printing, and Smith Solutions in the amount not to exceed $20,380.
I'll second both motions.
There has been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are board resignations and appointments. We have 3 resignations to consider this evening. I'd like to thank Tom Tosti, Jennifer Williter, and Matthew Williter for their volunteer service. Is there a motion to accept the resignations of these 3 individuals?
I'll move to accept the resignation of the 3 individuals named.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please say yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. At this time, we're going to do some board appointments. So we have some openings on the HRC. We can consider reappointing David DeVore to the Human Relations Commission for a term to expire in 12/31/2024. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to reappoint David DeVore to the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term expiring 12/31/24.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, David, and thank you for your service. We also have a consideration for reappointing Donna Boyle to the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term set to expire 12/31/2024. I'll accept a motion.
I'll move to reappoint Donna Fan Boyle to the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term to expire on 12/31/24.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing there's a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Donna. These are new appointments, so consideration of appointing Rachel Zinman to the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term to expire 12/31/2024. I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to appoint Rachel Zinman to the Human Relations Commission for a 2-year term to expire 12/31/24.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Seeing a motion and 2 seconds, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Congratulations, Rachel. Next would be consideration of appointing Alexander Quebec to the Human Relations Commission for a 1-year term set to expire 12/31/2023.
I'll move to appoint Alexander Quebec to the Human Relations Commission for a 1-year term to expire 12/31/23.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing that there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Alexander. Consideration of appointing David Tilley to the Human Relations Commission for a one-year term set to expire 12/31/2023. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to appoint David Till to the Human Relations Commission for a one-year term to expire 12/31/23.
Second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, David. We have an Environmental Advisory Council for reappointment. Donna Fielder to the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term set to expire 12/31/2025. Is there a motion?
I move to reappoint Donna Fiedler to the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/25.
I'll second it. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, congratulations, Donna, and thank you for your service. Three-year appointment to the Parks and Rec Board. We are reappointing 2 individuals. Consideration of reappointing Dory Bauer to the Parks and Rec Board for a 3-year term set to expire on 12/31/2025. Is there a motion?
I move to reappoint Dory Bauer to the Park and Rec Board for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/25.
I'll second. Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Dory. Consideration of reappointing Christine Piazza-Belzer to the Parks and Rec Board for a 3-year term set to expire on 12/31/2025. Is there a motion?
I move to reappoint Christine Piazza-Belzer to the Park and Rec Board for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/25.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Christine. So we have some appointments to our Planning Commission, which is a 4-year term. So consideration of reappointing Thomas Piacento to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term set to expire on 12/31/2026. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Thomas Piaconti to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on 12/31/2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Thomas. So these are 2 openings. Consideration of appointing Amber Watson Tardif to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire 12/31/2026.
Second.
Did you want to make a motion, Dana, instead?
I move to appoint Amber Watson Tardif to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on 12/31/2026.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Congratulations, Amber. Consideration of appointing Ryan Leeton to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term set to expire on 12/31/2025. I'll accept a motion.
I'll move to appoint Ryan Leighton to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/25.
I'll second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. If we have a reappointment for the Zoning Hearing Board, consideration of reappointing William Cousin to the Zoning Hearing Board for a 5-year term set to expire on 12/31/2027. I'll make a motion to considering reappointing William Cousin to the Zoning Hearing Board for a 5-year term set to expire on 12/31/2027. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Cousin. There is consideration for reappointment for a Citizens Traffic Commission. Consideration of reappointing Jeff McCard to the Citizens Traffic Commission for a 3-year term set to expire on 12/31/2025. Is there a motion?
I move to, oh,
Okay.
go ahead.
I make a motion to reapprove Jeff McCard to the Citizens Traffic Commission for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/2025.
I'll second. Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. McCart. This is an opening appointment that we will be making for the Citizens Traffic Commission, so consideration of appointing Roland Myers to the Citizens Traffic Commission for a 3-year term set to expire on 12/31/2025. Is there a motion?
I move to appoint Roland Myers to the Citizens Traffic Commission for a 3-year term to expire on 12/31/2025.
I'll second. Seeing as there's been a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-1. Congratulations, Mr. Myers. So I believe we reached the part of other business. So, Mr. Kessler,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Valla,
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Esposito,
Nothing.
Ms. Teoli-Coles,
Nothing, thank you.
Supervisor Kane.
I just wanted to thank all of our volunteers for our commissions and reiterate, anyone out there that wants to serve, please put your application in. We were lucky enough to have a lot of volunteers and a lot of applications this time around, so I'd hope to continue to grow that stack.
Mr. Kizak,
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Hannah.
Also, thank you to all the volunteers, those who are serving now and who have served in the past. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Corbel?
Nothing, thank you.
And I don't have anything either. So at this moment, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Didn't think so. Motion carries. We are adjourned.